Steve Scaroni, a California farmer, has started to grow lettuce and broccoli in Mexico because he says he can't count on a stable labor force in the United States.
I started experiencing spot labor shortages 10 years ago. I mean, today we're to the point, I don't go 1 week that over 50% of my crews aren't short.
The problem, Mr. Scaroni says, is that as much as 70% of the farm workers in California are illegal immigrants. Authorities have tightened the border with Mexico, and recently officials announced a crackdown on employers who hire illegal immigrants.
I mean, I've already moved 20% of my operation in Mexico because of lack of immigration reform. No other reason.
Mr. Scaroni's solution is to rent fields in Guanajuato, a state in central Mexico, where he employs Mexican workers just like the ones that harvest his fields in California. Only here they have no problems with immigration documents. Andrew Costanza, one of Mr. Scaroni's managers in Mexico, says the workers are brought on buses from their villages to the fields.
We bus them in just like in the States. We go pick them up. We have buses that go pick people up in different ranches, and we bring them to our ranch. They work during the day, and we take the bus back. That's the way you can keep a labor force.
Now, Mr. Scaroni, who admits that he is an impatient man, is racing between the 5 different farms he has planted in Mexico.
This is why I keep saying this is a mini Salinas. I mean, I'm doing everything down here that we do up in Salinas and Yuma, Arizona.
He laid down a drip irrigation system to conserve the water he uses, which is filtered and tested to American environmental standards. He raised fences around his fields, and his Mexican workers wear arm sheaths, sanitized gloves, even face masks. Mr. Scaroni said that he tried to solve the labor shortage by mechanizing his harvests in California. But the crops that are his specialty, like iceberg lettuce and broccoli for packaged fresh salad, cannot be picked by machines.
We haven't come up with a way to tell a machine what's a good head and what's a bad head.
Some workers came from California to Mexico with Mr. Scaroni, like Antonio Martinez Aguilar, a field manager. He worked for 15 years in the United States, but could never obtain legal immigration documents.
I tried many things, but none of them ever worked out. There was nothing I could do to become legal.
Mr. Scaroni has trained his Mexican workers both in the fields and in his well-scrubbed cooling plant to maintain hygiene and sort out bruised or decayed produce. Although starting up has been costly, Mr. Scaroni expects to recover his investment because the wages are lower in Mexico, $11 a day here compared to $9 an hour north of the border.
It's refreshing to be able to go out every day and work, grow, harvest, and do all the things we do down here, and know that despite all the problems that are down here, at least I know the one thing I don't have to worry about is losing my labor force because of an immigration enforcement.
New immigration rules announced in August give employers 90 days to fire workers whose Social Security numbers do not match the records of the Social Security Administration.
I have no choice because of our government's failure to enact and pass meaningful immigration reform for agriculture. I have no choice but to offshore my operation.
Someday, he says, machines will pick the salad crops in California.
Until that happens, our food source will be handled, grown, harvested, packed by immigrants. The question is, will it be packed, grown, and harvested in America or in a third world country?
For the New York Times, this is Julia Preston.